Welcome back, Genesis International College students. In today's explainer, we are zeroing in on Topic 2, managing the implementation of an environmental management plan. Now listen, you've probably spent hours, maybe even days, drafting this beautifully comprehensive plan. But here's the harsh reality. A plan that just sits in a dusty binder on an office shelf, it's not going to protect the environment, and it's certainly not going to keep your site compliant. The real challenge, and honestly, what we are going to master today, is taking that plan from a static, theoretical document and transforming it into a living, breathing practice out there on a chaotic construction site. Because let's face it, bulldozers don't read dusty binders.
So I want to ask you directly, as future site managers, you walk onto the site with this massive set of rules and guidelines. Now, how do you actually enforce it? How do you take those high-level policies and translate them into actionable on-site reality where every single worker knows exactly what to do? Well, that is the core of implementation. And to pull it off, you need a highly systematic approach.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to break this whole process down into 4 critical stages. First, informing your team. Second, monitoring site compliance. Third, managing environmental data. And finally, adapting to new projects. Think of this as your roadmap from paper to practice.
Starting off with Section 1, informing your team, which is all about communicating environmental obligations, because you simply cannot enforce a rule if your team doesn't even know it exists.
Your absolute first priority is making sure everybody on that site understands their role, and you do that through targeted training. There are basically 4 types of training you're going to rely on. First, the general site induction. This gets everyone oriented to the physical layout and the broad environmental risks. Next is emergency response and preparedness, so folks know exactly what to do if there's an oil spill or a fire. Third, you've got familiarization with environmental controls, briefing the staff on daily checklists, audits, and work method statements. And last but definitely not least is task-specific training, which drills right down into what a specific worker needs to do for their specific daily job.
And this brilliantly illustrates how task-specific training really bridges the gap. It takes those massive, intimidating legislative frameworks and contextualizes them for a person's actual daily work. Whether they're out there installing sedimentation controls, cleaning up a spill, or sorting material waste, this training connects them directly to the big picture plan.
All right, moving to Section 2, monitoring site compliance. You've briefed your team, but how do you know if that training actually stuck?
To figure that out, you need robust systems to keep a reliable pulse on operations. Site managers typically use 4 main monitoring systems. You've got conformance reporting, employee and contractor reports, environmental management meetings, and statistical and analytical data. Using these together ensures your environmental controls are actually being executed, rather than you just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best.
Let's look a little closer at the conformance report. This is your essential tool for measuring real on-the-ground performance. Every conformance report needs 4 key ingredients. Number 1, the outcomes to be achieved. Number 2, the response indicators. These are the actual environmental characteristics that show the impact of your operations. Number 3, the response criteria, which are the specific thresholds or trigger levels you set for those indicators. And number 4, the corrective or preventative actions you'll take if those criteria aren't met.
Let's make this super concrete with an example from your course materials, the Acacia House project. Their outcome to be achieved was huge. They wanted a 90% diversion of timber and masonry waste away from the local landfill. So, their response indicator? It was as simple as weighing the general waste skip against the recyclable timber skip. Their strict response criteria stated that the recyclable skip literally had to be at least 9 times heavier than the general waste skip during that specific construction stage.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how strict the corrective action is. We are not talking about a little slap on the wrist here. If that general waste exceeds 10% of the total volume, failing the criteria, the supervisor must immediately shut down work. The entire framing crew gets pulled off the line and re-inducted on waste segregation procedures. It enforces real, immediate accountability.
Here's another cool example that shows just how adaptable these reports can be. The We Build It Corporation had a construction project near a lagoon, and their outcome was to protect the local seagrass population. For the response indicator, they monitored chlorophyll A concentrations, which tracks phytoplankton levels that spike from nutrient-heavy discharge. The response criteria, that concentration must not exceed the 80th percentile of their initial baseline data. If it surges past that, a formal investigation is immediately triggered to fix the root cause. Because trust me, nobody wants to be the site manager who accidentally wiped out the local lagoon ecosystem.
But remember, conformance reports are only part of the puzzle. You also need environmental management meetings. While a conformance report zeroes in on one specific thing, like waste or seagrass, your regular meetings give you the big picture. To be effective, these meeting agendas should always cover attendance and roles, following up on past agenda matters, going over recent inspection and audit results, discussing any external communications or community complaints, and formally addressing any nonconformances.
Which brings us to Section 3, Managing Environmental Data. All those meetings and reports, they rely entirely on accurate technical information. So how do we gather it?
So the crucial point is that you need perfect harmony between what you are monitoring, how you sample it, and the tools you use. Just take a look at this matrix. If you're looking at water, your sampling procedure might be periodic, using simple water bottles. But for air or dust, you're going to need continuous sampling with depositional gauges. For noise, you'll use sound level meters. As a site manager, locking down these distinctions is absolutely vital because it ensures your data isn't just accurate, it's legally defensible.
Finally, Section 4, Adapting to New Projects. Eventually, your current site wraps up, you celebrate a job well done, and you get assigned to a brand new project. How do you adapt an existing plan to fit a totally new environment?
Let's move to and see how this builds a continuous cycle of improvement through a simple three-step process. Step 1. You evaluate the new project with a fresh aspects and impacts analysis, checking for new legislation or local impacts. Step 2. You update your environmental controls, maybe adding some, tweaking others, or tossing out what's no longer relevant. And Step 3. You communicate those updates back to your team. You refresh safety precautions and work instructions so that on day 1 of the new build, absolutely everyone is on the same page.
Ultimately, that is the secret to environmental management in construction. Your EMP isn't just a static textbook. It's a living, evolving tool. It needs constant communication, rigorous monitoring, rock-solid data collection, and continuous adaptation to really work. Genesis International College students, you now have the roadmap. The only question left is, are you ready to take these tools and confidently bring your environmental management plan to life on your very next site? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and best of luck out there in the field.